We go from the SEC to the MAC. And no, we're not talking college football here. We're talking Michigan high school hockey. That's right. I think this could be a big season for the MAC as it relates to a lot of its teams. And that's coming from an admitted quote unquote hater of the East Side. It's an area of the state that might as well be a state of its own. I've said it before on the pod. I'll say it again. No one's just passing through Shelby Township. Nobody's driving by in Utica and says, "Oh, hey, I'm out this way for work or grabbing dinner, or whatever. Let me just drop in on my buddy and say hi." It doesn't happen. You either live there or your destination is that spot. That's where you're going, and that's it. A buddy of mine, college roommate of mine, moved out to Shelby. He might as well have moved to London, and I'm not talking Ontario. Corey, I love you. Haven't seen you in 3 years, buddy. I hope all is well. So, but maybe that feeds into my frustration with these teams in the MAC a little bit subconsciously, and the OAA to a degree. But I'll more on them in a minute. MAC teams play against all the MAC teams and the other East Side teams, and they stay in this pocket that's there's very little diversification in opponents and strength of schedule. So we don't really get to see how MAC teams stack up on the state level until the state tournament. But I got teams pounding their chests about, being a top team in the state and we should be in the top 25. We should be ranked. We should be this. You're sleeping on us, this and that. But you haven't played anyone north of I-69 or west of Telegraph. So where's that leave me? I think that's unfortunate too, because two things. There's a lot of good hockey out there. And I'd love to see teams like Eisenhower and Chip Valley and Romeo challenge themselves against a Byron Center or a Flint Powers or Howell, Calumet, some of these blue bloods of high school hockey, and really find out where we stack up as the season unfolds. And the second part of that, I think if you tested yourselves against teams like I just mentioned, it could better prepare you for those buzz saws that we tend to run into come playoff time, the CCs, the Clarkstons, the Heartlands of the world. Well, why don't they come play us? Well, you're damn right. They won't come play you. Like, scheduling is a give and take. And when you're trying to build, whether it's your strength of schedule or getting guys into the MDHL, like I just mentioned with Pioneer, there's going to be a lot of give. We'll come to you 2-3 years in a row before a Howell finally returns the favor and comes out east or something to that effect. I'll send my 6 best players only for 5 of them to get cut at the MDHL door. It's a process. It's just like we tell our kids, man, keep knocking, keep coming back, make them tell you no, pick up the phone, send an email, make those top programs tell you no. Hey, you know what? We don't have a spot for you on our schedule. You just got to keep knocking and keep trying in order to bolster that strength of schedule. And I know it's a burden. I make jokes about how tough it is to get out there. And maybe that's why a lot of teams don't want to head east. That's also probably why a lot of east side teams don't really want to make a habit out of going west. But I think there's a ton of value there. And I think for some of those MAC schools, the OAAs, you might have to go west 2, 3, 4 times before one of those west teams returns the favor and comes to you. But man, that's how you build a program. That's how you toughen your guys up. That's how you get them ready for playoffs and in a big push there. So just my 2 cents on that. But to bring my optimism back to the surface as far as the MAC is concerned, another team that uncharacteristically had a lot of guys at fall tryouts was Eisenhower. 5 guys: Bodie Farr, Weston Zederek, Connor Holmes, Nate Schilkey, Joey Zelenak. All 5 of them made it through to the league, I believe. And Farr and Schilkey were tournament team guys for the MD as well. So I went in great detail about Farr in the MAC preview linked in the description below. I think he's had a great 12 to 14 months following what I'd call the traditional high school path and doing the right things, going to the right tryouts, going to the right events. I'm hopeful it'll pay off for him in a big way. And similarly, pay off for Ike in a big way. Great success last season, 16 wins. You return a bunch of guys, Farr, Sawyer, Hotchkiss. You're 1-2 punch offensively. Very few get that luxury of returning two such pivotal players to your lineup. Eagles get them back. They also get goalie Connor Holmes back. Huge. Plus, you add in former AAA guys that I just mentioned, Schilkey, Zelenak, who have had strong falls in the MDHL as well. And we may be talking about Ike on the state level this winter. The recipe for success is there, and I think could absolutely dominate MAC action. The question just goes back to how things will stack up with the non-con slate. Uh, as far as the rest of the conference, you've heard me talk about Cam Staskowski for forever now. I love his game. Led the team in scoring each of the last two seasons. Now on the brink of his senior season and potentially his best yet. Younger brother Colby Staskowski enters the chat as well. Should provide some youth and potential towards the future for that Chip Valley lineup. Someone also told me Zane Austin may be the best defenseman in the conference after putting together a real strong offseason. So there's a lot of optimism around the Chip Valley program right now. But I'm going to have to see some tangible dubs before I could lump them into the discussion with Ike right now in the red division. The other half of the MAC, the white division, may be wide open. I do got to say, one thing here about Marysville in particular and Luke Thick. This kid took Team Michigan tryouts by storm last March. I remember watching a couple games of him and Ben LaValle last season, and I really liked Thick's game. But to see him at Team Michigan tryouts at the end of the season, I was pretty taken back. He was, and it wasn't just me, it was other evaluators in the room as well. Dave Mitchell, former Livonia Stevenson coach, nudged me when I got there. He said, Petey, you got to see this kid. Every shift, Thick was making a play, constantly around the puck, impacting the outcome. He's the real deal. I expect more of the same from Thick this season. And with a big campaign, could really make a case to be a junior hockey prospect beyond high school hockey. Best player in the division, maybe the best player in the conference altogether. Time will tell on that last bit, but I'm a believer. All right, a couple other players I like around the conference. Let me bounce around a little bit. How about Alexander Gorgievsky? I mentioned this kid last season a bit, just kind of a bit of a diamond in the rough. I kind of stumbled across him when I was watching a Utica Unified game. Utica Unified was the only team in the MAC to finish below 500, but I'm telling you, Gorgievsky is a player. 30 goals last season. He's big. I only saw him on film, but shit, man, he looked 6'3", 6'4" on skates from afar. I don't know how big, but he's big. He's a big boy. Skates well, flashy hands, and obviously a knack for finishing. I'm also starting to hear more and more people talk about him too, which is encouraging. So I do wish, though, we'd have gotten a chance to maybe see him at one of these MDHL or MHA tryouts this past fall. That's kind of the next step, I feel like, for a lot of these one-off, I'll call them hidden gem type of prospects in high school hockey. Let's get you on the big stage. I got to see you go up against some of high school hockey's best to really see where you stack up and separate the contenders from pretenders, so to speak. I'm going to continue bouncing around here a little bit. I'm a little all over the place here, but St. Clair Shores, one of only a handful of teams I've seen so far that would return all three of their top scorers from a season ago. A real nice three-pronged attack. Plus, you got Zach Del Monte on the back end and a returning goalie in net. This is a Lakers team that went undefeated in MAC white action with this group. Why couldn't they do it again a second time?